What if I told you that the homeless man you ignored yesterday could change your entire life? Hold that thought, because this story will shake you to your core. Picture this. A torrential downpour has just ended, leaving the streets of Lagos looking like a battlefield. Water pools everywhere, mud cakes the sidewalks, and the air smells thick with rain and exhaust. In the middle of this chaos sits an elderly man on a weathered wooden bench. His name is Papa Thomas, and his clothes tell a story of hardship: faded shirt, worn-out sandals, and the kind of peace that only comes from accepting life's storms. He'd just finished helping sweep in front of a local shop, doing what he could to earn a few naira. Now he was resting, watching the world go by, when suddenly, splash, a sleek black Range Rover came tearing through the street like it owned every inch of asphalt. The driver didn't even slow down as they hit a massive puddle right next to Papa Thomas. The wave of muddy water that erupted was like a tsunami in miniature. It completely drenched the old man from his gray hair down to his torn slippers. Papa Thomas gasped, wiping his face with shaking hands, but the damage was catastrophic. His entire body dripped with brown, filthy water. People on the street stopped dead in their tracks, their jaws dropping at what they'd just witnessed. "Hey, look what you did," screamed a woman from the crowd. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. The Range Rover didn't speed off. Instead, it crawled forward and came to a stop just a few meters ahead. The tinted window rolled down with that expensive electric hum, and a voice dripping with arrogance cut through the air like a blade. "You shouldn't be sitting so close to the road, old man. This isn't your village." The window rolled back up. The engine roared, and just like that, she was gone. The crowd erupted. Did she just say that? What kind of person does that? She can't even say sorry. But Papa Thomas just raised his hand gently and said something that would haunt everyone there. "It's okay. Leave her. Let God judge." Now, you might think this is just another story about rich people being terrible to poor people. But wait, because what happens next will flip everything you think you know about wealth, power, and justice. The woman in that Range Rover, let's call her Vanessa, strutted into a luxury shopping mall like she'd just conquered a kingdom. Her phone buzzed with notifications as she snapped a selfie and posted it with the caption, "Only the strong walk over the weak. Boss Queen." The comments flooded in. "Slay Queen. Teach them. You're everything." Vanessa smiled, scrolling through the praise like it was her daily dose of vitamins. In her twisted world, what she'd done wasn't just acceptable, it was necessary. Poor people, in her mind, had no value, no voice, and definitely no right to be in her way. She'd built her entire identity on stepping on anyone she considered beneath her. But here's what Vanessa didn't know. Papa Thomas wasn't heading to some rundown shack or abandoned building. No, he was walking through the gates of one of the most beautiful mansions in the city. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, artwork worth more than most people's houses. This was home. His son Bernard looked up as he entered, immediately noticing his father's soaked clothes. "Papa, what happened? You look like you've been through a war." Papa Thomas sat down slowly, his voice calm but heavy with disappointment. "Bernard, I saw the most disrespectful woman today." Bernard sighed. "Not this again. Papa, I keep telling you, why do you insist on going out there? You live in a mansion now. You have everything you need. Why sit on roadsides talking to strangers?" "Because," Papa Thomas said firmly, "I'll never stop, not until I find you a good woman." "Papa," again with this yes, "you're 36 years old. You need a wife, someone who will build with you, not just spend what you've worked for." Bernard rubbed his temples. "Papa, I have a girlfriend." The old man's eyes lit up with interest. "You do? Then why didn't you tell me before now?" "I didn't want to rush things. But since you keep bringing this up, her name is Vanessa." For only Bernard knew he'd just spoken the name of the woman who'd humiliated his father just hours earlier. "She's very beautiful," Bernard continued, oblivious to the irony. Papa Thomas leaned forward. "Beauty isn't everything, son. I know, Papa, but there's a problem. What problem?" Bernard hesitated, then took a deep breath. "She's rude. Very rude. She talks down to people, thinks everyone is below her. And the spending, Papa, she burns through money like it's tissue paper. Expensive clothes, shoes, bags, all just to show off." Papa Thomas shook his head slowly. "So why are you still with her?" Bernard looked away, embarrassed. "I don't know. Maybe because she's beautiful. Maybe because I thought I could change her. She's smart, and when she's calm, she can be sweet. But when she gets angry, does she respect you? Sometimes. Does she respect herself? Silence. Papa Thomas sighed deeply. Bernard, listen, carefully. I've been watching women my entire life. You need someone who brings peace to your home, not chaos. Someone who helps you grow, not someone who drains everything you've built. I know, Papa. I know you're right. Then bring her here. Let me meet her face to face. I want to look into her eyes. If I see humility, I'll bless the union. If I see pride, I'll tell you the truth, even if it hurts. Bernard nodded reluctantly. Okay, Papa, I'll ask her to come this weekend. Good. But don't tell her anything special about our family. Let her come as she is. I want to meet her real self, not some fake version she puts on for show. Bernard chuckled nervously. You want to surprise her? Papa Thomas's eyes glinted with something deeper. No, son, I want her to surprise herself. But the universe had other plans. The next afternoon, Papa Thomas sat outside a busy supermarket in his simple clothes, a plastic bowl in front of him. He wasn't begging, just sitting, observing life, being present in a world that often forgot people like him existed. Then that sound again, the aggressive purr of a Range Rover engine. Vanessa stepped out, designer sunglasses reflecting the harsh afternoon sun, music blasting from her car like she was announcing her arrival to the world. Her eyes fell on Papa Thomas and her face twisted with disgust. You again, she snapped, marching toward him like a predator closing in on wounded prey. You, this old, dirty-smelling man, why do you keep disgracing your generation like this? She didn't wait for an answer. The words poured out of her like poison. Do you enjoy sitting here like a goat? Poor people like you have no shame. Papa Thomas remained silent, but his silence only seemed to fuel her rage. Look at your clothes, look at your face, useless man. Maybe you were cursed. She kept going, her voice getting shriller with each insult. You're the reason Nigeria is backward. You sit here waiting for help instead of just dying quietly. Then, she did something unforgivable. She spat near his feet. You make me sick. But just as her venomous words were reaching their peak, a voice cut through the air like thunder. Enough. A young woman emerged from the supermarket, grocery bags in hand, her face blazing with righteous anger. This was Mary, and she was about to change everything. Vanessa whipped around. Who are you? Someone who still has sense. Mary fired back without missing a beat. Vanessa laughed mockingly. Another poor rat, trying to feel important. You're insulting an old man for no reason, Mary said, stepping closer, her voice sharp as steel. What did he do to you? He exists, Vanessa barked. That's what he did. Poor, dirty men like him shouldn't be allowed outside. Mary's eyes narrowed dangerously. He's old enough to be your father. So, is he your father? You both look poor enough. That was the wrong thing to say. Yes, maybe he is my father, Mary shot back. But at least he's not empty inside like you. Vanessa's face contorted with rage. Do you know who I am? Do you know who my boyfriend is? I can get you arrested in 2 minutes. Mary didn't even blink. Arrest me for telling you to respect an elder. Go ahead, I'm rich. I can do anything. No, Mary said calmly. You're just loud. There's a difference. You're jealous of me. I'm clean. I'm classy, Mary scoffed. You're just noisy with lipstick. Nothing more. The insult hit Vanessa like a physical blow. Her hands started shaking with fury. You dare talk to me like that? Yes, because clearly nobody ever taught you how to behave. You will regret this. Mary pointed toward the Range Rover. One day, this same man you're insulting will be someone you need to bow to. Mark my words. Vanessa stared, her lips quivering with rage, her face turning red. Without another word, she stormed to her car, slammed the door, and sped off, leaving behind only the smell of burnt rubber and wounded pride. Mary turned to Papa Thomas, her anger instantly melting into concern. I'm sorry you had to go through that, sir. He looked at her with eyes full of warmth. Thank you, my daughter. Not many people would have stood up like that. She sat beside him. I couldn't just watch her treat you like that. What's your name? Mary. He smiled. Beautiful name. I'm Papa Thomas. Mary studied his face. There was something about this man that didn't add up. The way he carried himself, the wisdom in his eyes, the calm dignity despite his circumstances. Double quotes. Papa, where do you stay? He hesitated. I sleep in an empty store at the edge of town. The owner lets me stay there. It's not much, but it keeps the rain away. Mary's heart broke a little. Oh, Papa. Don't feel sorry for me, he said gently. Life has seasons. I may be poor, but I still have my peace. You seem too wise to be living on the streets, Papa. Thomas gave a weak smile. Life teaches wisdom when you have nothing left but your thoughts. Mary was quiet for a moment, then said, Papa, I studied agriculture. I'm a graduate, but I've been jobless for a year now. My parents are poor farmers in the village. He nodded, listening intently. Instead of just sitting here every day, maybe I can help you start a small farm. Even behind the store where you sleep, we could plant peppers, tomatoes, vegetables. At least you'd have fresh food, and we could sell the extras. Papa Thomas stared at her in amazement. You want to help me farm? Yes, Papa. I have nothing else right now, but I have strength. I can work. It's better than both of us just waiting for life to happen. For the first time in years, Papa Thomas felt something stir in his chest. Not sadness, not resignation, but hope. You hardly know me, he said quietly. Mary smiled. I know enough. You didn't say a single word when that woman was attacking you. That silence told me everything about your character. Papa Thomas looked up at the sky. Could this young woman be the answer to his prayers? That evening, Papa Thomas entered his mansion with a spring in his step that Bernard hadn't seen in months. Papa, you look ... happy. What happened? Papa Thomas sat down, his eyes twinkling. Bernard, today I met the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. Bernard raised his eyebrows. Really? Yes. And I'm not talking about makeup or fancy clothes. I'm talking about a heart. A clean, pure, courageous heart. What happened? That same proud woman came to insult me again. But this time, someone stood up for me. A young woman who didn't know me from Adam, but she fought for my dignity like I was her own father. Bernard was intrigued. Her name is Mary. After she defended me, she sat with me and asked if I was okay. Not like she was doing charity, like she genuinely cared. Then she offered to help me start a farm. Papa, you're not serious. I'm completely serious. This girl has a degree in agriculture. No job yet, but instead of complaining, she wants to work. She wants to help me find purpose again through farming. Bernard was speechless. I'm telling you this, Papa Thomas continued, because I've seen something special today. That girl is gold. She may not have money, but she has character, and character is what money can't buy. Bernard shifted uncomfortably. Papa, I need to tell you something. Vanessa is coming tomorrow. Papa Thomas's expression hardened slightly. And what do you want me to do with that information? She wants to meet you. Fine, let her come. But today I met a woman who reminded me that good people still exist. Your girlfriend might be coming tomorrow, but I've already seen what the world needs more of. The next morning arrived with an tension that seemed to hang in the air like humidity before a storm. Papa Thomas sat in his living room, dressed in clean but simple clothes. His face was calm, but inside, his heart was preparing for something significant. Bernard paced nervously. Papa, she's on her way. Let her come. Minutes later, the sound of expensive tires on the driveway announced Vanessa's arrival. High heels clicked against the marble floor as she entered, designer handbag swinging eyes taking in the mansion with obvious approval. This place is nice, she said condescendingly. Not as modern as mine, but still acceptable. Then her gaze fell on the old man sitting calmly on the couch. Her world stopped. Her smile vanished. Her blood turned to ice. Papa Thomas looked up at her with the same calm expression he'd worn during both of their previous encounters. You, she whispered. Yes, he replied simply. We meet again. Bernard looked between them, confusion written all over his face. Wait, you two know each other? Oh, we know each other very well, Papa Thomas said, his voice carrying a weight that made the room feel smaller. We've met twice before. Papa, what are you talking about? Papa Thomas turned to his son, his voice steady and clear. This is the same woman who splashed mud all over me by the roadside and called me worthless. The same woman who told me I was the reason Nigeria is backward. The same woman who spat near my feet and said I should die quietly. Bernard's face went through several emotions, confusion, disbelief, and then dawning horror as he slowly turned to face Vanessa. Is this true? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know he was your father. she stammered, the arrogance completely drained from her voice. You didn't need to know, Bernard said, his tone growing cold. You insulted an elderly man in public, twice. I thought he was just a beggar. He's a human being, Bernard exploded. Even if he was a beggar, is that how you treat people? I didn't mean it like that, she said, her voice becoming smaller with each word. Papa Thomas stood slowly, his presence filling the room with quiet authority. You didn't mean it, he said thoughtfully, but you said it. You poured shame on me, because I appeared poor. You spoke like you owned the world. But now, the same old man you humiliated is the father of the man you claimed to love. Vanessa opened her mouth but no sound came out. Tell me, Papa Thomas continued, if you had known who I was, would you have behaved differently? Yes, she whispered. Then you're not truly kind, because real kindness doesn't depend on who's watching. Tears began forming in Vanessa's eyes. Please, sir, I'm sorry. Papa Thomas shook his head slowly. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry because of who I am. Bernard was breathing hard now, his jaw clenched tight. You told me you were bold. You said you loved me. I do know. He cut her off. You love yourself. Because a woman who truly loves me would respect my father. Vanessa fell to her knees. Please, Bernard, I can change. Papa Thomas looked down at her with something that might have been pity. Forgiveness is easy, child, but trust, trust is earned, and you had your chance to show us who you really are. She picked up her bag with shaking hands and left without another word. The room was silent for a long moment. Papa Bernard finally said, Yes, son, Mary. The woman you told me about. Where can I find her? Papa Thomas smiled for the first time that day. She's coming to see me at the supermarket tomorrow, but Bernard couldn't wait. The next morning, he found himself driving without destination, needing air, needing space to think. What had happened with Vanessa played in his mind like a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. Eventually, he parked near some local stores and found himself sitting under a mango tree, trying to process everything. That's when he noticed her, a young woman examining a small plot of land behind the stores, a bag of seeds in one hand, a small hoe in the other. There was something peaceful about her presence, something genuine in the way she tested the soil, with her fingers, planned her work with quiet determination. She noticed him watching and smiled. Good morning, Bernard replied. Are you from around here? Just passing through? Needed some fresh air? She nodded understandingly. I'm planning to start a small farm here. Bernard looked at the modest plot of land. Most young women he knew wouldn't even touch a hoe, let alone start a farm from scratch. That's single quotes unusual, she laughed. I'm not like most ladies. I studied agriculture. No job yet, but I have hands and determination. I'm Bernard, he said, extending his hand. Mary. The name hit him like lightning, but he kept his composure. She sat on a nearby rock. I'm trying to help an elderly man. He doesn't really have a home, but he's kind and wise. Reminds me of my father. Bernard's heart started racing. Yesterday, I saw this awful woman insulting him for no reason. I couldn't keep quiet, so I defended him. After that, I realized he doesn't even beg. He just sits quietly, observing the world. So I offered to help him start a small farm. At least that way, he can eat fresh food and feel useful. Bernard stared at her, pieces of an incredible puzzle falling into place. You defended him, of course. What else was I supposed to do? Watch someone abuse an elderly person. They worked together that day, planting seeds, talking about life, dreams, and the strange ways the universe brings people together. Neither of them knowing they were connected by threads of destiny neither could have imagined. Meanwhile, that afternoon, Papa Thomas sat at his usual spot near the supermarket when Mary arrived with her warm smile and a small basket of food. Papa, I brought you something. You're too kind, my daughter. As they sat together, Mary mentioned something that made Papa Thomas's heart skip. Papa, I also met someone today. A man, he's single quotes different, kind, humble, handsome. We're just friends, but Papa Thomas leaned forward with interest. Tell me about him. His name is Bernard. I like him, Papa. There's something special about him. Papa Thomas tried to keep his expression neutral, but inside, he was marveling at the incredible way life was weaving this story together. I'd like to meet him, he said carefully. Maybe someday, Papa, but tomorrow, I'm coming to your house, remember? Yes, Papa Thomas said, smiling mysteriously. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting. The next morning, Mary stood outside the gates of what she thought must be the wrong address. The mansion before her was like something from a magazine, too beautiful, too grand for someone like Papa Thomas. But when the security guard opened the gate and she walked up that perfect driveway, her world shifted on its axis. There, walking out of the front door, was Bernard. Their eyes met across the courtyard. "Mary," he whispered. "Bernard," she gasped before either could process what was happening. Papa Thomas appeared behind Bernard, smiling from ear to ear. "My daughter," he called warmly. But Mary looked from Bernard to Papa Thomas and back again, her mind struggling to comprehend what she was seeing. "Papa, you live here?" "Yes, this is my home. But you told me you slept in a shop." Papa Thomas chuckled. "Because I wanted to see who you really were when you thought I had nothing." Her eyes moved between the two men again. "Wait, you're his son." Bernard nodded, still in shock himself. "And you're the woman my father kept talking about." Mary covered her mouth with her hands. "I don't understand any of this." "My daughter," Papa Thomas said gently, "I'm sorry for hiding the truth, but you showed me your real heart. You helped me when you thought I was a homeless old man. That's rare in this world." Tears began flowing down Mary's cheeks. "You were testing me." "No," Papa Thomas said firmly. "I was watching. Life has taught me to observe. Many people bow to the rich, but spit on the poor. You did the opposite." She looked at Bernard, her voice barely a whisper. "And you you didn't know either." "I had no idea," Bernard said, stepping toward her. "I met you by chance. I never imagined you were the same person my father kept describing." Mary shook her head, overwhelmed. "This is too much." "But it's beautiful," Papa Thomas said, "because now no one can say you were chasing money. You didn't know anything about our wealth. You just followed your heart." Bernard took her hand. "Mary, I need to tell you something." She looked up at him through her tears. "I don't want to waste time. I know we just met, but I feel something I've never felt before. I love you. From the first moment I saw you at that farm plot, I knew you were different." Mary's breath caught in her throat. "I want to marry you," Bernard continued, "as soon as possible." She stared at him, speechless. "I love you too," she finally whispered. "From that first day, I felt safe with you. I felt home." Bernard's face lit up with joy, but Mary's expression suddenly turned serious. "There's something I have to do first," she said. "What?" "I have to go to the village. I have to tell my parents." Bernard paused, her words echoing in his mind. Then his face grew determined. "No," he said firmly. Mary looked confused. "What do you mean?" "My parents-in-law cannot live in the village while I live in a mansion. I have many houses in the city. I'll give them one. I want them to stop farming and struggling. They've suffered enough. It's time for them to enjoy peace." Mary stared at him, tears flowing freely now. "Why, oh you would do that. For them." "Mary, I'm not just marrying you. I'm marrying into your family, and I must honor them like I honor my own father." No one had ever spoken to her like this before. No one had ever valued her family, her background, her humble origins. "Your struggle is my struggle now," Bernard continued. "Your joy is my joy." But while love was blooming in one corner of the city, hate was festering in another. Vanessa sat in her apartment, scrolling through social media, when she saw the announcement that made her blood boil. Bernard was getting married, not to her, not to any of the rich, connected women in their social circle, to some village girl named Mary. Rage consumed her like wildfire. She grabbed her phone and called. A number she'd hoped never to use. The voice that answered was rough, dangerous. "I need you to do something for me," she said coldly. "What kind of something?" "I want you to plant drugs in Bernard's office. Once they're there, we'll tip off the police. He'll be arrested, disgraced, jailed. The wedding will be ruined." Silence on the other end. "And there's more," Vanessa continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "If you can arrange it, I want that girl Mary to disappear, permanently. And that disgusting old man she calls a father-in-law, I never want to see his face again." She ended the call, thinking her revenge was set in motion. But what Vanessa didn't know was that the man she'd just spoken to, Sko, owed his life to Bernard years ago. When Sko's sister needed a job and no one would give her a chance, Bernard hired her. When their mother was dying and they couldn't afford the hospital bills, Bernard paid for everything. When their family was evicted and had nowhere to go, Bernard helped them find a place to live. Sko sat alone that night, staring at his phone, thinking about the woman who wanted him to destroy the man who'd saved his family. Never, he thought, not Bernard, never. The next morning Sko walked into Bernard's office. Bernard was busy with wedding preparations, his face glowing with happiness. "Sir, I need 10 minutes of your time." Bernard looked up, puzzled. "Do I know you? You helped my family years ago. I've come to return the favor." Bernard listened as Sko explained everything. Then Sko played the recording of his conversation with Vanessa. Bernard's face went through a range of emotions as he heard Vanessa's voice clearly plotting his downfall, wishing death on Mary and his father, planning to destroy everything he held dear. When the recording ended, Bernard leaned back in his chair, his hands covering his face. "She really wanted to destroy us all," he whispered. "I couldn't let it happen," Sko said. "You don't deserve that. Your family doesn't deserve that." "Thank you," Bernard said, shaking his hand firmly. "You've saved our lives." Hours later, police moved in on Vanessa at a luxury restaurant where she was showing off new designer clothes, completely unaware that her world was about to collapse. "What is the meaning of this?" she screamed as they handcuffed her. "You're under arrest for conspiracy, attempted murder, and planning to frame an innocent man." In court, Vanessa wore a long black dress and tried to maintain her innocent act. "I don't know what they're talking about," she told the judge. "I never said anything like that." The judge nodded to the bailiff, who pressed play on a recording device. Vanessa's own voice filled the courtroom. Every word, every threat, every evil plan, her laughter as she described wanting Mary dead, her casual cruelty toward Papa Thomas. When the recording ended, the courtroom was silent. Every eye was on Vanessa, who sat frozen in disbelief. "I didn't mean it," she sobbed. "I was angry. I was drunk. It was the devil. Enough," the judge said firmly. "The devil didn't force you to speak those words. You planned evil, and you would have succeeded if not for one honest man. Please, I'm sorry for jealousy, for pride, for wickedness. You shall face the full weight of the law." Vanessa was sentenced to 15 years in prison, with no possibility of parole. Meanwhile, Bernard and Mary were planning the wedding of their dreams. They traveled to Mary's village together, where Bernard knelt before her parents. "I want to marry your daughter," he said humbly. "And from today, I want you to leave this village. Come live in the city. I have a house ready for you. You've worked hard enough. It's time for you to rest and enjoy life." Mary's mother cried tears of joy. Her father blessed Bernard with all his heart. 1 month later, Bernard and Mary were married in a ceremony that was talked about for years. It wasn't just the beauty of the event, it was the love story behind it that captivated everyone who heard it. After the wedding, they flew away for their honeymoon, walking hand in hand, on a private beach, their feet bare in the warm sand. "I still can't believe this is real," Mary whispered, watching the sunset paint the sky in impossible colors. Bernard squeezed her hand and smiled. "It's real, my love. And it's forever." So here's what this incredible story teaches us. Character reveals itself when we think nobody important is watching. Vanessa showed her true nature when she thought Papa Thomas was just a poor old man with no power or connections. Mary showed her true nature by defending someone who couldn't defend himself. The universe has a way of testing us through the people we encounter. Sometimes the homeless person you ignore could be connected to your destiny. Sometimes the person you help could change your entire life. Pride comes before a fall, but humility opens doors you never knew existed. Vanessa's arrogance led to her destruction, while Mary's kindness led to her elevation. And here's the most beautiful part. True love isn't about finding someone who fits your status or your bank account. It's about finding someone whose heart aligns with yours, whose values match your own, whose character shines even when they have nothing to gain. What lessons are you taking from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I genuinely want to hear what resonated with you the most. Was it Papa Thomas's wisdom in testing people's character, Mary's courage in standing up for what's right, Bernard's decision to honor love over status, or Vanessa's downfall proving that karma never misses an address? If this story moved you, hit that like button. It really does help more people discover these life-changing tales. Share it with someone who needs to hear that good people still exist and that character matters more than cash. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Remember, you never know who you're really talking to. That person you help today might change your tomorrow. That elder you respect might become your blessing. That act of kindness you show when nobody's watching might be exactly what the universe is using to write your next chapter. Until next time, keep your heart open, your character strong, and remember, the best stories are still being written. Peace.